Hi all, welcome to another Chess 24 Kingscrusher Banter Blitz. So it's 12:30 PM UK time. I've opened the window so you can hear some birds tweeting. I think that's quite nice. Be closer to nature, springtime. So on that note, I'll take the first challenge. Fuchsia. Mute over here. Hi. Okay. Someone's decided to... okay, noisy lawnmower alert. Oh dear. That's ruined things for the background music today. I might have to shut the window at this rate. I don't know. That's just started just now. At the start of this stream. Seriously, in the last half an hour I didn't hear that. Ah. Alright, should we take a vote to shut the window or not? 1, shut window. 10, leave it for a moment. Take a vote here with you guys. I could shut the window. I'm trying to sort of puncture the dark squares here. The sounds of the sun, yeah. Great. There's no rook hanging here. There's a slight weakness to the last move here. I'm afraid I'm going to have to take the rook. I'm ruthless like that. Besides, I'm being distracted by this loud lawnmower outside, yeah? Can I get the d4 square now? Trimming, probably trimming around the garden actually. Trimmer. So e5, f5. It's not so bad now. Well, this reminds me of the Morphy games I've been looking at around 1850. He gave rook and knight odds to some opponents. Morphy. It's quite good fun to play through them. He still manages to sometimes checkmate. I don't know if they sort of got rid of all the ones he didn't checkmate and just leave the ones he did checkmate with rook and knight odds. Maybe they did that sneakily, so we get the impression he won most of his odds games. I wonder if there's like hundreds of unpublished odds games. You know, Morphy's like rook and knight odds. I'm gonna have to shut that window soon. Oh, please stop. Should I shut the window? Look, sorry, did we clarify the poll? One shut window, 10 don't. Sorry, did we just get this again? Sorry, 1 was shut window. Okay, so bishop g4. No, that loses a piece. Okay. Okay, can I pin the knight first to try and weaken d4? Alright, hang on. Bishop g4, knight e6 to d4. Okay, I'm just trying to weaken d4 a bit more. Okay, I'm weakening d4. I sense the power of the d4 square here. Getting a knight onto d4. It's a pretty clear strategy so far, I think. By giving up my light square bishop, putting all my pawns on dark squares, I'm weakening all my light squares, but I am weakening also d4. So it's a bit of a trade-off scenario, actually. Now this f3 is sensitive, so if I play f5, bishop moves back, there's knight f3. The knight is happily perched on d4, unable to be kicked with c3 or e3 here. So I'm just going to play f5. Not going to get mated with queen h6, am I? Just check that. I'm blocking that at the moment, so you can open up that diagonal. I mean, he or she, sorry, he or she. Knight f3. What about e takes? For queen takes h4 here. I think h4 is dropping. Because rook takes, queen takes, there's knight e2 check. Forking queen and king. Otherwise I take on h4. It's a cruel choice, Hobson's choice for white here. Either lose a pawn, yeah, or there's worse. In fact, I could have just played knight f3 there. That was ridiculous of me not to play knight f3. Okay, I'll let the opponent off a bit. I'm distracted by the rook odds. I let the opponent off. That was suboptimal. I apologise. Thanks for the game anyway, folks. Yeah, okay. So Fenneman. Okay, hello. Fenneman reminds me of, was it that scientist, Feynman? That famous scientist, physicist. He's got a chess video. Feynman? Actually, I should know him. Oh, doesn't matter. Okay. Knight e8. This looks like the similar template plan to the other game, actually. That I want to play for b5. Okay, that might be suppressed, but white's weakening the dark squares, and I could simply do this standard sort of template maneuver, knight e8 to c7, drop the bishop back, knight e6, then drop a knight into d4. Again, a knight perched on d4, there's no kicking it via e3 or c3 here. Does it matter if I lose my dark square bishop? I wouldn't have thought so, but I can do an annoying knight d4 as well, threatening knight b3 here with that configuration. If white takes, I get the c5 square. That might be good for knight d7 to c5, actually. This might be a more optimal plan. I don't know what it's necessarily got going for it. It's put pressure on d3. This might be a more optimal plan, actually, than this. I'm not entirely sure, but that's the sort of thing you'd want to play sometimes against the Benoni structure. You know, stick a knight on c4 as white against the Benoni structure. So you're putting pressure on this little d3 pawn. Benoni, like the son of sorrow. I've always think the d6 pawn in the Benoni is like the sorrow of it. So let's see, knight c5 threatens. Now we've got a helicopter as well. Wonderful array of sound effects, unintended. Okay, so knight b3 is threatened. b4 there's knight bishop takes g7 weakens white's dark squares as well as mine. Bishop d7 not only hits a4, but it also means I can kick e6, that knight out of there. So I'm sort of, I don't think I mind the dark square weaknesses resulting from my fianchetto being taken out here. I think it's all pretty swings and roundabouts. What I'm hoping for is bishop d7 probably in e6. Now it's difficult to actually defend a4, isn't it? Well, here there's knight b3. Oh, there's queen f4. I'm just wondering, the queen's holding on to the bishop. There's no way of kicking that queen now. Well, there is bishop e5, but then I don't have anything tactically. Okay, so if I do this, and it's my knight stranded. Well, there's knight takes a4 at minimum, and then maybe b5. So maybe this. This also means now knight b3, queen f4. There was e5. Okay, a4. Something has to be done about a4. Can I also? I mean, this e6 means I can play queen h4 over here as well. So I think that's lucrative. When I say lucrative, there's knight b6. Is it that lucrative? And bishop c6, b4, knight d7. Maybe it's okay. I want to kick the knight out of there and put some pressure on this diagonal. With knight d7, knight takes, queen takes. I need b5 layer, ab. I fractured my a pawn, but I get some b file pressure. So I'm wondering, knight d7. Yeah, okay. So knight d7. Is my bishop being squished? I don't have to take with the bishop necessarily. Oh, that's interesting. Can I take with... Oh, interesting. Am I getting anything from this position? No, I'm not sure. Not sure. If I take like this... No, I'm not sure what I'm getting here. Bishop b5. Can I get a pin on that pawn? Is there anything? This pawn's weak. Potentially queen b2 is on... Alright, alright. It's not so easy. Maybe rook c8. Okay, f5 is dangerous as well. Alright, I might have to play it. Oh, I don't know actually, no. Alright, I'll try and make c5 a liability here. I think I might have time for takes and then do something with this c5. Aha. And if I try and put some pressure on c5. Queen b2, okay, there's rook d8. Can I double the rooks here? Rook c6. f5 is discouraged here because of e takes. I've got queen e. No, I haven't got queen e3. I might have to play queen e3 just to extinguish the flames with f6 there. If I get the queens off there, okay, d4's weak again. Protect this. I'm threatening rook c5 now. So if f5 takes queen e3, then f6 will be threatened. f5 takes, threatening f6. I have a tempo gain with queen e3 and maybe bishop d3. Alright, queen h4 here looks a bit naughty. Try and go over here. Queen g3, I'm hitting d3. Maybe I can afford to do that. Queen g3 hitting d3. Is this naughty? Okay, that pawn's hanging. Queen e3 now. So d3's weak. Bishop d3, is that really on the cards? Also h5, h4 is a lot of fun to weaken the dark squares. Or open up an h-file for rook h8. Oh, thanks for the game, Penman. Now Kramnik student. Now I have to be concerned because I did notice Kramnik students and the next online up beating the IM. Both of them beat the IM, a very strong IM 2900 the other day. So I've got a great lineup of opponents here. Okay. So queen f6. This c4 looks odd. It looks a bit over Maroczy binded here because I've got things like bishop a5. Can I play queen f6? A bit too keen for Maroczy bind or not? So if I play bishop takes e3, this just seems really strange, this position. Why haven't I got queen b2 after? I'm not getting mated, am I? Queen b2, doesn't that just nick a pawn? Oh, there's queen d4. In that case, there's queen c1 check. And I lose my rook after. King e2 takes queen g7. That's a bit complicated. Is that? I've got queen c2 as well. Ends up losing g7. Oh, am I going to analyse this now? Queen b2, queen d4, queen c1, king f2, queen c2, king moves, d takes, queen g7. If the queen's on g7, what the heck do I do? Okay, I'm just going to do this. It opens up the bishop. Let's try and maybe castle queenside. It's a great way to lose on time. Just spend a minute analysing ridiculous variations for this time control. So what about if I just think positionally and just castle queenside, try and use the blockade square e5 just for a laugh. Okay, queen g6. No, I'm getting in trouble here. Castle's queenside. Maybe b6. I'm in trouble here, so I better not think like that. If I castle, if he castles, I castle. Am I getting done over on the queen side? It's possible. I can't. C5, knight e7. If I accept double pawns. If castle queenside, I castle queenside c5. How dangerous is that? All right, here. What if I try to encourage? Oh, there's e5. I don't think e5 is that destructive actually. I might just want double pawns there. Oh, great. Okay, I don't know. I'm going to castle. Do I just undouble his pawns? I don't like the dynamics of this necessarily. Queen g6 maybe. Try and keep a blockade point on e5. Maybe king b7, queen c4. I can imagine. Okay. Let's play knight h6. Maybe that's better because there's no e5 with tempo. There's bishop a6, and I could get back row mated at this rate. Okay. Okay. Yeah, if I move the bishop, I'll be back row mated after. So bishop a6 could be a good prelude. Let's see. How would I deal with this? f6, knight f7 protects the rook. And that also facilitates knight e5. So this is a tactical end positional. f6, knight f7. And he's giving me a move to do that. And it's about not having a loose piece on d8, really. Okay, now I can actually move the bishop without being mated with bishop a6. Do I want to move the bishop here? I think a blockade is nice here. As aforementioned blockade. Maybe okay, I can do better than just bishop e6. I can play king b8. Okay. Queen f7, queen e7, bishop e6. Does that do anything? Queen f7 to e7, then bishop e6. There's queen e5 there. Okay, I've got to be careful. I'm careful about g5 as well. Queen e8, queen e7. Alright, so queen e8 is a safe route. Maybe bishop c8, protecting c6 there. Do I want to get that bishop out of there? Any downsides in the opponent's position? I'll keep looking defensively. Any downsides here? d3. I'm going to get mated over here. Bishop e6 or bishop c8. Do I need to exchange off the rooks? There is queen e7. He can dissolve. I've got c6 protected. I think I want to take towards the center. I think there's c5 potentially to exchange off a pair of rocks. Okay. Yeah. There's queen b4, c5. I don't particularly like the tension in the centre. c6 isn't dropping because of that nice knight at the moment. If I take on d4, I can't see too many downsides of the opponent's position. Can I play rook d6 so I can at least double rooks comfortably? Rook d6, queen b4, c5. There's, yeah, c5 is working maybe on queen b4. So rook d6, you can undouble my pawns. I think that simplifies my defensive task. Not sure what he's threatening with that. I've also got queen b7 after, or queen c7 holding d6 and b6. If I double rooks, I can kick the queen out of there for a moment. And double rooks. Then maybe bishop b7 to avoid getting mated like that. Nice fianchetto always helps. Rook takes and take the queen off here. Then work on e4. There is downsides now of white's position, I think, if I can get the queens off. Otherwise I'm never going to see any. If I'm too defensive, I'm not going to see any. I'm not going to be able to exploit any. Okay, rook takes. It takes my queen. No. c5. There's always knight d5. Let's see the structure now, though. I think there's downside structurally in this endgame. e4 looks like a target. That's the target. I can arrange for e4 torture. We'll take it now. Give him a pass pawn. I have to admit, I wasn't very comfortable for most of that game. I don't know if white missed some chances. The only thing structurally, I thought the blockade was good in principle, but in practice there's a lot of there's pressure. Thanks. There was a lot of pressure, as you can see. So the next guy also beat an IM I noticed last week. Well done. Yeah. Okay. Okay. This system I can reel out, because I reel it out in bullet. He's not really going to castle, is he? If I play this naughty waiting move, he's not really going to castle. I can do this in luxury without knight g5. I have double pawns here. Oh, it's c6. I want to just kick this knight out. The double pawns in this position might not be a big deal. Bishop g5 on the other hand is an annoyance. Oh, I have to do this slowly. f6, c6. f6, c6. Alright, I'm just wondering, this is slightly weakened his dark squares. They're already a bit weak with this structure, this Botvinnik structure. D4 in particular, it's slightly weakened. Okay. Right, can I use the C file? If I took, is that in my favour? I wonder. Oh, I'm going to take, yeah, this structure, as long as the knight's not coming to C4, seems okay. I've got an F5 on the cards, which looks like a King's Indian sort of style position, without the fianchetto weaknesses. F5, F4 in particular. If he gives me the knight F5, the knight could hop into D4 at some point. I don't think the blockade square E4 is that relevant here. If he did take to try and get a blockade square on E4. But I'm just wondering, so F4 is pretty dangerous. This is an unprotected piece, needs to be addressed at some point. So, okay, he's given me this. Okay, can I just play this and maybe bishop B5 and just weaken D4, just take knight D4? Can I not just, this is like an Achilles heel of the position potentially. This D4, if I have a knight on D4, that's a pretty juicy knight. Have on D4 here. I'm going to say play B5 and rook F7 doubling, and then look out for some forcing moves based on the F file pressure. So I want to take knight D4, B5, rook F7, look out for forcing moves basically. And blocks that diagonal as well. So B5, double rooks, that coordinates pieces. What in particular would be good after that? I think that's just a nice position. So B5 with tempo here. Double rooks. And there's Queen G5 for rook F2 for Queen C1 at minimum. But I'm just wondering, can I weaken the dark squares of H5, H4? Get that bishop locked into the pawn chain. If I have a pawn chain like that, it's locked in. I can also squeeze the dark squares here first with A5 and B4 before doing any of that. I want to squeeze the dark squares on both sides of the board. Having pawns on light squares, have dark squares available. Squeeze there, squeeze here, double rooks, H5, H4, G4, Queen G5. Right, that undermines the knight. That's tactical. Okay, I can play for rook F1, knight F3 here. So that's not a legal move. Rook takes knight F3. I still maybe want to play H5, H4. It seems I have to be concerned about F6 here. That's a shame. There's Queen B8. There's Queen E7. How is this ending? If I play Queen E7, that ending should be okay if rooks come off. If I have a knight against bishop ending, he's got a passed pawn. Yes. I want to take the oh, don't tell me this ending's bad for me. Rook F8 to stop the check. D7. Has it gone a bit south? Whoa, whoa, whoa. I suggest bishop D5. How do I stop rook f8, d7, rook d8, rook c8? Oh, that's fun. Rook d7, rook c8. Oh, bishop d5 first. Great. There's rook f2. That's pretty tactical. Well, that really. Let's go behind the pawn, I think. And play knight e6. If I sack the knight, there's a chance of creating a dangerous pawn there. So rook d2, bishop d5, king f8. Rook d2. Is there knight e2? Knight takes c1. d7's queening. I think he might have let me off a bit there because this doesn't seem as bad as I'm imagining this. It is bad to lose a piece, but it's not the end of the world when he's only got 20 seconds. I think he had a more incisive route there to win. All right. That gets real fun. I'll just give him a pass pawn over there. Great. Let's just lose that pawn as well. Uh-oh. Yep, I think that's the final nail in the coffin. Oh dear. Oh, and he got a draw on time. Sorry. Oh! Oh, sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. I hold my head in shame. I thought it was all under control. He gave me a very false sense of security. I thought it was all going wonderfully. The doubling of the rooks. I could just see all these wonderful scenarios. I don't know what happened. It turned into a nightmare. I don't know how that happens. That's really weird. Okay, well played. Oh, I actually got mating material as well. I'm sorry. Okay, it was a moral win. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm playing white here. Let's not lose on time. Oh dear. Oh, I thought it was a bit short on time. How did that happen? All the trump cards that the passed pawn was created, the rook, the king. I overestimated. Didn't see any of that. Happening. That was incredible. Oh, no wonder you guys are beating IMs, huh? No wonder. I'm just the lucky bunny on the clock, yeah, a lot of the time. You guys, that's why you're beating IMs, yeah? Now, well done. and usually, okay, so anyway, let's move on. Bishop e3, queen d2. Castle queenside. Oh dear. Okay. All right. Look, I want to get it out of my system. The bunny ears will go on for the previous game. Yes, he deserved it. I showed the bunny ears. He deserved it from the previous game. Now, let's move on. Okay. Okay, we're moving on now. What is this? What is this position about? Is there anything? Okay, bishop b6, knight d5. Is that any good? If I castle queenside and knight d5. Don't tell me I'm going to run into bishop g5. That would be funny. Oh, can I do that without running into bishop g5? Okay, that doesn't matter about that pawn. King b1 after, maybe. As long as bishop g5 doesn't happen. That would be too much for me to handle. Right, knight d5 is... There's still no bishop g5, right? Knight d5. Right, I have spotted the threat, bishop g5 now. Yes, I was on the lookout for that threat. I'm moving my king out of this dangerous diagonal. So rook g1. I want to use this g file. It's a clear road to the king here, this g file. Clear road. It's the M1, it's the motorway to the king here. Surely I'll get rid of that defensive bishop. Double rooks. I'm a bit wary about saying about doubling rooks now. I think it gives me a false sense of complacency about the whole position. But in theory, if I double rooks, it should be dangerous, right? For the king, in theory, yeah? If I can double rooks here. No? Surely? Surely not. Double rooks. Okay, let's undermine this structure over here. Does he want another pawn? He can have another pawn. I think. Maybe. Can I get away with h5? I'm trying to undermine this structure. Yes. I think this knight is lazing around over here. Needs something to do. He's pretty stable actually. Maybe I should take one I still can. It opens up the H file a bit. Just before he gets locked up. Knight d... If we can get this knight to do something. Fascinating. Queen b4. This looks like another pointless move to consider. I am hitting d6. Okay, I need to regroup here somehow. Knight d2 to e4 looks a little bit tasty. In principle, to get a knight to e4, I'm hitting d6 there. Okay. Don't tell me he wants another pawn. He doesn't want another pawn. I'm going to take one of his pawns at this rate. Okay, so knight e4. Can I kick the knight with c3? Oh, knight f3 is after an exchange now. I get it. I see. Knight f3. Well, there might be a check. If that wasn't protected, that would be good news. Like here, that's hitting the rook. Okay. Nevertheless, there's maybe knight d6. So knight f3, queen b3 there with the pinned rook. There's no queen f7. That might be something to do here, actually. Except knight f3 hit queen b3, knight g5 protects the rook. Okay. All right. What about just rook g3 then? that gives me the possibility of knight g5 and queen c4 on that sensitive diagonal. Right, c3 here. Can I play knight d6 one day? Queen b3 maybe one day with knight g5. That is a sensitive diagonal. So queen b3 here, nice pin. So knight g5 threatened. There's also rook e5 first with that pin, rook e5. Well, there was. Okay, I'll get an exchange at least. Queen b7 seems safe enough. And get the a6 pawn. If I get the a6 pawn, I've got a nice running a pawn. Okay. b3 looks as a blunder the rook. Hang on, let's just move this rook. Does that give me queen d5 just to simplify here? I got a pawn majority, free to some, well, potential pawn majority here. Oh, there's knight d4 tactically. Right. Spotted it now, too late. Okay, it's about the pawn majorities then. He's got 2-0 over here. Try and use my pawn majority. c4, b4. Get these pawns moving. Uh-oh. My only chance is my passed pawns, huh? Or is there a mate pattern there? There's a mate pattern with rook c8. Yeah, I spotted a mate pattern there. Yeah. Otherwise, the passed pawns clearly are winning. Yes. Well played. Well played. That was random most of the time, that game. Okay. Alright, so let's go on to another not so instructive blitz game. Okay, so so queen c7. I have been hacked up to death in this line recently. Can I avoid some sort of disaster on a8 at least with rook b8? b5, there might be a knight sack. Can get the e5 square with g5. It's sort of a known pawn sack idea. In this particular position, I haven't a clue exactly about it, but I don't know. It looks like a bit of fun. Although I've weakened my f6 square. So knight e5, queen f4. Then what? Can I do that here? My f6 square is slightly compromised. And bishop d7, rook c8, that sort of thing. His queen side's a bit more weakened than it should be, I think, with a4 inserted. Can I do this? Where's the queen going? Can I do bishop d7, rook c8? Bishop d7, rook c8. Is that actually possible? Bishop d7. Maybe for bishop c6, just pressure on e4. I like that the pressure on f6 has been reduced. Bishop c6, b5. Takes knight b5. Bishop c6, rook d8. I think bishop c6 stands well, surely. Right. I'm going to swap off one pair of rooks, which hopefully, well, if the queen's inconvenienced, there's knight e4 after, isn't there? On this diagonal. Oh, there's a pin there on my bishop, so I can't yet win that thing. Is that the case? Queen c4. I'll have to play rook takes. No. I think I might be doing well just to take on d1 here. I can unpin with a check. Yeah. Let's check and queen b4. Just trying to weaken my opponent's e4 actually. If I can get the queens off. Well, there's knight e4 here with that pin. That pin on the pin's queen. Yeah, knight e4 looks tasty. For knight c3 and bishop takes h1 now. As knight f2 is threatened. Knight f2. Okay, so knight e4, bishop takes e4. Nice pin on the queen. There's okay, rook h2 here. There's no bishop c5 yet. Rook h2 threatens bishop c2, winning the knight. Alright, there is now bishop c5, winning the rook. I don't think there's any sting and tell, particularly after knight e4, bishop g1. Okay. Right. It's got these pawns over here. I'm going to push them. There's no knight c5 here. So I think I'm just going to play bishop a7 and g3. Or actually bishop e3 and then g3, g2. Bishop e3 keeps the knight locked in. Alright, I'll do it this way then. No, I won't. I just got to just queen the g pawn, I think. Yeah. g3, g2. Thanks for the game, commutator. Okay, Marcel Kirchia. Let's play an English opening for a bit of variety. So I'm ready with, for some reason, the pre-move. I'm thinking it's a bullet game. Okay, pre-move. So bishop g2. The English opening came recommended to me by Andrew Webster once in a tournament, who's I think a bit retired now, but he was wonderful with the English opening. It's a nice, if you can just grip the d5 square, it's a nice central premise of it is to grip the d5 square. So basically, so knight f3, it's usually a simple, when I say, it's analysed a lot now, of course, but bishop g5, is that doing anything? Queen b3 here is, because that's intriguing, queen b3 here. Just testing this b7. Shouldn't the bishop be on c8? Okay, so let's test this. Right. Okay. a4, a5 is very tempting because AB is a nice pin. a5, I don't know, that seems tempting here. Get a rook if I play queen b6. So knight h6, AB, knight b6, queen takes, check. Oh, there's bishop d8. Well, there's bishop g5. Maybe bishop g5 first. So knight h6, bishop g5 first. And there's queen b7 here, rook b8, queen a7. Queen b7, queen a7. Okay, I'll take here, I think. Let's just do this. Keep an eye on f7 indirectly. So rook a7, there's bishop g5, there's queen e6. Otherwise e7 will be dropping on bishop g5. So unfortunately there's queen e6. I can take this pawn over here. Bishop g5, queen e6. Wow, there's a pin on the knight. Let's go for this pin at minimum. The A file control seems comfortable enough. I'll just get this nice pin for a moment. And this is anything here. Right. Keep this going. Keeps a lock on d5. d4 is almost tempting here. I'm protecting c4. It's afforded by my position. ed knight d4 gives me access to c6. Otherwise I'm squishing with d5 that bishop. This might be worth doing. So d5 threatens to squish the bishop. Alright, knight e5 is pinned. So I'm threatening knight c6. On rook c8, wow, there's e5, takes knight c6, winning an exchange. e5 on rook c8. Knight c6 here is almost, well, it's winning an exchange. Queen e8 can take on b8. I think I will win that exchange. Knight d5 locks the bishop down. Seems okay. Just get another sort of pin over here. And there's queen b2. I feel like putting my king here. On bishop takes. Well, even c takes is possible. This knight's protecting the other one. And rook c7 is possible for queen a7 here. If I want to sort of put some more pressure on the position with queen a7. Except queen b2, it's not a big deal. Nothing's breaking there after queen b2. Let's take that back for a moment. I don't like the rook as a liability there. This is better here. Take back. Something else. Rook d1 for knight f6, rook d6. Yeah, let's get this guy doing something. Knight f6, rook d6 threat. Right, if I just play f4, maybe I'm threatening f5. Well, I can double the pawns and play b3, so my queen's not overloaded to c4 and a7. I think I'll... Unless there's anything better to play there. Tactically, I can't see it immediately. So this looks just sensible to play b3. Keep the bishop locked. Maybe rook a6 to avoid the liability of the rook. Tactical liability. And then queen a1 on f6. So, well, f5 though tactically seems to win material. Bishop's trapped. Even d5 doesn't help. My king doesn't seem that unsafe. Alright. I'll take that bishop. Take it on d6 nearly. There's e5 for rook a8. That'll skewer the queen and rook. Winning the rook. Let's take this guy. This one. This one. This one. This one. This one. Okay, there's not any more pieces to take, so I think at this point, even by FIDE drawing rules, if I lose on time, I might actually get a draw instead of a loss on time. Even by the FIDE Blitz rules. You have to eliminate everything in a macabre way to secure a draw, apparently. That's what I found out recently somewhere else. Okay, let's avoid the stalemate though. That's the big deal now. So king g8. Just in time. 12 seconds to go. Okay. Thanks. Tony Owl. Let's play e4 for a bit of variety. Yes. Let's go into... Ooh, what is this? A weird knight c6 French at the moment. Well, when I say weird, no, sort of could be a knight c6 French. I want to just flood the center with c4, knight c3, d5 here. Yeah, I found out recently some rules are changing on some sites where opponent's left with a knight and it's not a draw anymore, you just lose, because apparently your pieces, after you've lost on time, will conspire to create a self-mate. So you actually lose if the opponent has just a single knight now. I can sometimes benefit from that, winning on time, so not complaining too much. Or if it's a single bishop, fine. It just means you have to wipe out all the opponent's pieces if the rules change like that. I mean, not leave a single one. Okay, so just to avoid the helpmates scenarios. H4, bishop H7 looks like a nice Greek gift. Being Greek origin, that's also okay, culturally relevant. Okay, H4, bishop H7, knight G5. Greek gift situation, because no defensive knight on F6. Soft spot is amplified on H7. Even if my center collapses here, that has to be calculated though. Maybe not so much now. Knight G5, Greek gift cat tactic. Won a lot of games on bullet with this, and other time controls, fast time controls. Especially with the rook here, it doesn't matter about losing the knight. That H4 opens up. Doesn't matter about the center collapsing here. It can collapse. F6, G6 seals the exit. F7 square. Threats, Queen H8. F6, G6 seals the exit square for Queen H8. There's no checks. Thanks for the game, Tilly. Okay. Mirko. Let's play Sicilian defense. Neidorf. Once had a chat with Daniel King on Sicilian defense. He said he used to play the Sveshnikov, but then he grew up. I thought, well, I like the Sveshnikov. Just because you weaken D5 fatally, you know, you still get some fun games occasionally. But no, probably the Neidorf is superior to Sveshnikov overall. That's why it's so popular. So yeah, I think I've switched my allegiance to Neidorf's rather than Sveshnikov's. But no one knows the theory of the Sveshnikov anyway, usually. So, I mean, the likelihood of getting a theoretical Sveshnikov is low. So anyway, so Rook B8. Let's see. So he's given me the dart squares a bit. So let's see. Is it D5 something? Okay. Would I really get hacked over here if I castled? Is that really the case? You know, it might be the case. I'm just wondering if I can get away with D5. I want to play Queen A5, Bishop B4. Do I? No, maybe Queen A5, Rook B2, Bishop A3. Sometimes. Maybe I should castle actually. This looks a bit shaky with my king in the centre. Although he plays H5. Anytime he plays G6 I get Bishop F6. That's the bright side of H5 and G6. I get Bishop F6. This bishop's kind of trapped at the moment because of this pawn chain. It's not using F6. Queen A5 or Bishop D7. I think Bishop D7 is okay. So I've got Rook C8 and Queen C3 in tension. Now that's kind of pinned to C2. If that moves Queen C2, can I not just play Queen C3 here? That nice pin. The power of the pinned piece or pawn is illusionary. Was it Nimzovich said? That is an illusionary protection of C3. Okay. So I'm hitting the queen. And let's get these guys off, I think. I can drop back to c6 here. Yeah. And then work on the dark squares after rook b6, b3, work on the dark squares. Maybe bishop b4, bishop c3, e5, e4, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think rook b6 creates a dark square weakness. I'll pounce into that. Bishop b4, bishop c3. Rook e3, there's d4. Rook e2, maybe bishop c3. That gives me e5. As long as I don't get mated on f8, that wouldn't be so funny. If he doubles rooks and mates me on f8. Alright, can I play e5 here? Okay, just make sure nothing naughty is happening over here. So e4, and actually I can play rook f8 for rook f1 for mating that. Or immediately, in fact, I can play rook f8 here. I don't need to play e4. That's the mating pattern. a4, rook a1 is mating. Alright, thanks for the game, Marco. Carl. Let's play a King's Gambit, because I've been looking at a lot of Morphy games recently. And he had some stunning King's Gambit wins. I mean, I have to admit, I kind of like the Paul Morphy games I'm going over at the moment, because they're a lot more simple and fun than most modern games. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Now, this one, I'm tempted to take on f7. I don't need to. I probably shouldn't. It might be fun. It might be fun. Oh, okay, yeah, that decides it. I'm going to take on f7. This F file is a lot of fun. I don't know. It strikes me as they used to have a lot of fun in the King's Gambit because of the F file, basically, and other diagonals. I know that's not a diagonal. Sorry, I mean when I say other diagonals, well, Morphy in particular had fun with the F file in other diagonals. I'm not sure about his opponents. So if I castle or knight c3 here for e5, yeah, e5 looks crushing because queen h5, or yeah, it looks crushing. Queen h5 if knight moves. And I've got back my investment. Okay, let's see. Knight, this one takes bishop g6, king e7. No, I'll just take the knight. Is it too boring? I'll just castle. I'll just castle. I'll take that. Thanks for the game, Cole. Okay, well played. Okay. Well played. Is well played ready? Is he ready? Okay, we have a Sicilian defense. I'll just try and ignore that. I don't want to spend too long trying to refute knight a3. I've seen this kind of plan before. You take away from the centre and try and control d4, basically. Can I just take here in this particular situation? I'm threatening cb now. If I played knight f6, e5, there's bishop f5, there's ef on my bishop. There's knight e4 there or knight d5. Maybe it's worth doing that for knight d5 with the idea of bishop f5. e5, knight d5, idea bishop f5, threat bishop f5. So takes bishop f5. There's c2. c2 and knight b4. Is actually that worth playing here? Is it better to have the pawn on c2 or c3? Maybe it's prone to knight d4. Might be better on there. I think that's good enough. Well, I can't castle. I can restrict this knight. I'm wondering if I put my king on b7 or something. Yeah, what's happening here? Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to torture this knight on a3, so it hasn't got c2, it hasn't got c4. Takes knight c3, that knight's not getting out still. That cheeky little knight on a3 is not getting out. It does there. Okay, there's bishop e5 here. Knight f5, knight e2, I can win the rook. There's knight c6, king c7. Oh, wins the bishop there. I've got to be careful. Alright. Fair move. What about bishop d7 then? I want to leave e5 weak. Kick this guy back. b5 is protected at the moment. Take this diagonal. I think king c7, rook d8. Let's think positionally for a moment. I think there's there's bishop a5 tactically though. Knight e4 looks good to do anyway. There's bishop. Okay, my king could end up on b7. So what? Let's unpin any potential pins. Unpin before they happen. This bishop's hand in. Could try and create a weakness first before e6, bishop f8. Can take that. Bishop e5, rook f7, bishop d4. That looks good. Well, those rooks coming to the second rank. He's actually attacking b5 indirectly. If it took, he's on b5. Could play a6, he's on f7. I might as well just take this. Rook f8, just leaving e5 weak. c5 is weak. Okay, I think positionally, if I take, I have a strong bishop there. There's no rook c5 because bishop d4 check. So if he takes on f7, maybe I just protect this, and then bishop d4. It's a nice central bishop. I think that's enough to play like this. There's a check here. Right, thanks for the game. Well played. Well played, well played. Okay, so Dumbersol. Why am I pre-moving knight c6? Maybe I shouldn't. Okay, no, let's do it. So we got sort of King's Engine here with extra light square weaknesses for white. I played castles, g5, knight g6, that sort of thing. e5, I mean e4 or f4. f4 looks good actually for me, because I think e4 and f3 I'll squish this bishop. This bishop is out of the picture on e4 f3 here. I mean, this move also liberates this bishop anyway. It's not just attacking, but no, the squish plan, e4 f3. Maybe g4 here, nice pin. Yeah, can't quite get the queen that easily to h5. There's a possibility of fg and c6 for queen b6. Faint possibility, but I don't really like having the queen over here that much. I would prefer it over here on h5. So hg, knight g4. How does the queen go to h5? That's interesting. Maybe knight h8, queen e8, queen h5. Yeah, I just need a queen on h5. Knight h8 might do the trick. So that would give me queen e8, queen h5, fg, rook f3. Oh, he's giving me a queen on h4. That's pretty fatal. Queen on h4. Well, I can still go for a queen on h5. Fg, queen g3, rook f3. That takes queen h2. So queen queen h1 as the defense. Queen g2, f3 is queen h1. This is anything pretty there. Can't see it. Oh, takes rook f3 is good to win the knight anyway. If rook f1, I'm not sure he'd play that actually. Queen g3 runs into rook f3 anyway to win the knight. Alright, if he does have the king on f1, then that looks dangerous, to say the least. Here, so it takes queen h2. Let's win this knight, if nothing else. Maybe that's a bit greedy. I mean, rook h3, rook h2 looks good as well. Rook h3, rook h2. Come on to think about it. Okay. Okay. What about, actually 93 weakens the dark squares anyway. It means also bishop h3 is on the way. If queen h2, I'll have to be careful not to take there. I'll play check first and then take on f1 to avoid losing the queen. So threat is bishop h3. The king's got an escape on bishop h3 here. The check, king f2, it's got e1. Don't need to do anything really that sophisticated. I think just move the rook, or play the check. Maybe here. So check. If king h2, there's rook d2. Probably bishop h3 and rook f8 is enough. Bishop h3, rook f8. I've got the advantage of the bishop pair without the opponent having any knight or bishop here. I've got the bishop pair advantage. Classic advantage. Okay. Let's get the queens off, because I don't know. Seems plausible. Just get the queens off. Bishop h6 to f4. Right, get my king up. Oh, it's bishop h3 winning the exchange. Right, thanks for the game. Okay, MGTOW. Let's try and lock this bishop out of the picture. There was a Positional Fischer game where in World Championship Candidates 1971, where Positional played like this and had a blocked out bishop, but it was a grind game actually after. Let's see if I castle. Let's mark out the dark squares for a moment. So at the moment, if I play bishop g4, if h3, drop the bishop back, g4, bishop g6, trying to just provoke some weaknesses basically on the dark squares. I don't need to use the h pawn or f pawn in every single game. Okay, I think I can safely play that. Looking at tactics, but alright, a5 just to clamp down against b4. Thing is, doesn't f5 win a piece in this position? Actually, come to think about it. I know I said I wouldn't play h5 and f5 in every game, but it seems tempting here to play f5. I don't know, the knight hasn't got any squares. g4 I take and I'm on the other knight. Well, you could take here and is on this knight and is on that. In that case, there might be bishop d6 to f4. So I'll go with f5. Alright, let's imagine g4. Let's check this again. F takes, d takes, check, king moves, bishop f4, queen e2, and I've still got two pieces hanging. I think. Okay, it hasn't come to that. Alright, so it looks okay for me to play no? Okay, I've got to watch out for this knight being loose. What about f4 here? To take is a mistake, as Smirnov says. I am improving the position slightly if I took on e5 of white, but I could let the opponent improve my position. Conversely, with takes I can strengthen my d5 knight. Also, on that note, what about f4 then? g4, bishop e8. Weaken some light squares. f4, e4 is weakened. Is f4 worth it? f4, is it worth it? That's g4. He might play f4 himself. f4, g4, bishop e8. I think that's probably okay. Probably. There's a possibility of knight e3 as well. So, g4, bishop e8. Do I need to go to e8? Do I? Oh, I'm intrigued if g4 was played. Okay, I'm just looking at g4 bishop e8 now. I don't know. That looks okay. It looks stable enough for me. f4 is not hanging. d5 is not hanging. That's the good news. It means actually now queen d6. I can ramp up the pressure without any f4 from white. Queen d6, ramping up the pressure. If knight c6, f3 check, maybe even. Okay, I'll try and ramp up the pressure. So f3 check is worth considering because there's fg, forcing move. Knight e7, I can play knight e7, that check's harmless enough. So I seem to be winning more material with f3 check. King moves fg, and in knight e7 I just take. Alright, there was knight e5 though. Okay. Sorry, I mean knight f4. Well, here I just play knight f4, winning the rook. Alright, thanks, Migtal. Gross Minnow, that sounds wrong. Gross Minnow, okay. Gross Minnow. Not too good with pronunciation. I recently learned how to pronounce how Yufan, not Yufan who, but actually how if and is how I remember it. How ifan. There's a pronunciation helper on chessgames.com actually. How ifan. Yeah, I'm proud of that. I don't know. I was getting it wrong. And I thought, since she destroyed Caruana, I think I've at least got to learn how to say her name. She completely wrecked Caruana. It was really impressive. Recently at the Grank. So d5. d5. Can I play e5? Takes. Get that b file. Do it. Looks like fun anyway. Even if I lose the pawn there, it looks like some sort of theory I've seen before. Yeah, like with queen c7 takes, bishop f5, hitting queen and c2. I've seen this before at some point. Queen c7. So queen takes, bishop f5. Doesn't that just run into bishop e6? That seems a novelty. Just runs into bishop e6, no? I think that was a theoretical position until then. Yeah, this looks like an unfortunate skewer on first sight. Yeah, it still looks like a skewer. I know it's summer, skewers, barbecues. Okay, rook takes. Okay, so rook c8. Rook c8. Okay, I can open up this bishop as well with e4. I'll open up the bishop. Oh, okay, I'll take her. I think bishop f4, e5. Isn't e5 sufficient? I've got e4 after. At the moment I'm tying the rooks down because of queen c2 mate. If rook d7, queen c2 mate. Yeah. I think just bishop c3. It takes rook b8. Got a factory in rook d8 here. check, check, king f7. I think that's okay. There's bishop d2 double check. If king b1, queen c1 mates. If king takes, queen takes. Yeah, bishop d2 double check. King b1, queen c1. That's the beauty of the double check. It's more clinical than a normal check. So king moves, queen takes d7. King b1, queen c1. No, hang on. There's a blunder there. No, it's not. It's interruption tactic as well. The bishop's not on c1. King b1, rook c1. I mean queen c1, rook c1, rook c8. There's no bishop c1 interruption of the diagonal. Thanks for the game, Grace Minnow. Lord Iffy. Okay. Let's play a check Benoni. I haven't played one of these for a while. There's a US Grandmaster, Ben Feingold, who beat someone good on Rapid recently. Who's he beat? Mamadaryov or someone? So there's an interesting plan behind this, which looks really innocuous at first sight. But essentially, you park the bishop on f6, waiting for the dark squares to open up. It seems totally innocuous at first sight, but really it's like waiting to catch the dark squares. If any effort, let me speak English. If any time f4 is played, catch the e5 square, basically. So it's like a build up behind e5, and also it might be good against more tactical opponents. Very close position, as long as I'm not dropping d6 here. So okay, let's see. Now what? I can go to g6. I think one of his ideas is also knight f4 to try and open up either the e5 square or the diagonal. So knight f4. Knight f4 coming is extra good because of that h3. There's no g3. If he took, okay, I'm on the rook there. Would he want to sack the exchange? Maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he would. I don't know. I'm going to find out here. It might be worth an exchange sack. But if he doesn't, I'll play g5 here. g5. Maybe king h8, bishop h3, queen d7, that sort of thing. g5. If he doesn't sack the exchange, okay. g5 is here holding the e5 square. If he moves the rook, g5. I'm not so worried about e5 at the moment. So bishop g7. Maybe, okay, he's got a light square grip, which is to be respected. Okay, now I can just try and hold up e5 and then play for g4. So I'm just running to arrange g4. I'm going to play something like bishop e5 for blockade. Start off with king here, rook here. Maybe move the knight to f6, bishop d7. Just everything gears up for g4 here. Maybe the king shouldn't be on h7 though. That's one question. Should it be on h8? It's strong. It's stronger on dark squares. White hasn't got the dark square bishop. Maybe king h8 safer. I mean, king h8, rook g8, knight e8 to f6. Maybe rook g6, queen g6. But everything can gear up for g4 here. Thematic, king's engine break. Without too much counterplay, I hope. Oh, I have to replace the blockader. can play bishop d4, but that means e5 later. I can play f6 though. Maybe it's worth keeping the dark square bishop. Is f6 any good? I just watch out for e5 breaking open the light squares. But how long does it take to chase the bishop from there? It takes a while. Alright. Do I need e5? Maybe I do need f6. I mean, do I need f6? Okay, okay. So let's see. I've just used the f6 square. Don't want an exchange sack there. I just want to build up for g4 again. It's bishop d7, queen g8, queen g7, rook g8. I can take that en passant. Okay, thanks for the game, Lord Iffy. Yeah. Victor, alright, okay. Victor, he needs 16. Let's dark square grip at the moment. Classic plan is usually b5, b4. It's a bit passive for white, this position, potentially. Right, I think e5 for knight d4 might be justified here. I want to just get a dark square grip. I thought I wanted a dark square grip. Knight h5, f5, f4 looks like a plan. Quite an aggressive one. Knight h5. So I get f5, f4. Maybe I should even consider taking that knight. Towards this way. Isn't that winning the bishop almost? f6 is bishop h6. Okay. Do I take this knight over here? Maybe I should take that knight. It's too good. I think it's too good. c3 is giving me access to c3. That's interesting. I think I want to celebrate c3 here rather than play for, say, f5. I'll be opening up this bishop, which could be lethal like the recent Audisto game in this session. I just want to play, I think, for the c3 square. There's knight g3 here as well. If this opens up, there's a nice pinned pawn there. That might be worth it. It's isolating pawns there positionally. If I took on g3, threatening knight e2. It's a nice way of doubling as well, tactically. If I rely on this knight g3 tactic. It's a protected passed pawn if he leaves it. So I want to just double. So if he takes knight g3, there's queen c6. This could get dangerous. That is giving me a nice dark square on e2. No, I mean dark square on f4. There's knight e2. Thanks for the game, Victor. Molon, Alloy. think my timer is not working, you know. I'm pretty sure I've done an hour and a half now. Oh, it's because I didn't start it. Yeah, that probably doesn't help. Okay, I think I've done an hour and a half now, guys. I think I'm aborting on a high. Okay, thanks for the games. As usual, fix shit I am. I didn't start my timer. Okay, so anyway, gave you an extra probably half an hour free for. Okay, it helps promote Chess24. Hope you enjoyed this session. I did anyway. So thanks. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I was very lucky against Alta Vista. That was a search engine. Whatever his name is, I was very lucky against him. I don't know if you remember Alta Vista. Yeah, it disappeared with Google. Yeah, no. But anyway, he yeah. Congratulations to anyone that well, you know, whatever. So and have a good the rest of the weekend, and see you next week. Remember to like the videos. Yeah, thanks a lot. Cheers then.